everyone. Thank you for being here in this Saturday afternoon. At least it's sunny here in Alentejo, where I am. My name is Vera Camarena. I'm the co-leader for the chapter of Impact Travel Alliance in Portugal. For the ones that don't know, Impact Travel Alliance is a global community and a non-profit organization that aims to improve the world for traveling. We try to educate the tourists to spend their money mindfully so that they can cause a positive impact on the communities and on the environments of the places that they are visiting. We do this through webinars, events like these, our social media posts, blogs. All our contacts will pass in our chat if you want to know more and if you want to follow us. While Impact Travel Alliance is a wide global organization with chapters in 25 countries in the world, we are pretty recent in Portugal. We're composed by myself and 3 other volunteers spread all over the country. So if you want to know more, again, contact us. All the information will pass in the chat pretty soon. I'm going to pass the word to Ruben Obadia, our moderator today. We're very happy to have him here. Ruben has an amazing path on the world of traveling and hospitality. He's a marketing destination teacher. He has a restaurant. Is the CEO of a marketing agency, branding, Message in a Bottle. And he's also works on the communication of Turismo do Alentejo. So thank you so much for being here, Ruben. Thank you for all our guests. And Ruben will introduce our panelists and start the discussion. Enjoy. Ruben, you're muted. Ruben, you have to unmute your microphone.
Okay, sorry. This technology, always we think a lot of everything and then it fails in the minute. Okay, so thank you very much for this opportunity. It's an honor to be here with such an amazing group, such an amazing team. We have with us Kelly Louise. She's the founder and executive director of the Impact Travel Alliance. We have Fatima Vieira. She's the coordinator of Greenfest in Portugal, and we have Leonor Picão from Tourism of Portugal, and she's an architect, and she's responsible for several projects of sustainability policies in the Tourism of Portugal. So let me start by our guest, Kelly Louise. So Kelly, I know that you don't have any presentation, but first of all, and because we are in Greenfest, and this is also to launch the Portuguese chapter of this Impact Travel Portugal, how did you come across of creating or founding this Impact Travel Association?
Great question. And also, Vera, thank you so much for succinctly describing ITA. You made my job easier. Essentially, with Impact Travel Alliance, we launched here in New York City, where I am based, in 2015. And we launched really just as an event series to explore the relationship of travel and sustainability and to talk about these concepts of improving the world through travel outside of the niche that it traditionally exists within the industry. So really thinking about how we could reshape the narrative around sustainable tourism and apply it to any sort of travel style, travel budget, or destination that you're visiting. And through the power of social media and word of mouth, we've grown organically. We now have more than 25 local chapters around the world. And to date, we've hosted more than 300 events. So our community is really this network of change makers who are passionate about building a stronger, more sustainable and more resilient travel industry and teaching travelers how they can explore in a way that has a positive impact on local communities and our environment.
One question that you as an organization did in your social media is, what if we could change the world simply by changing the way we travel? So I will ask you the same question. What if
Tourism has a beautiful transformative power, and it has all of these ways that we can have a positive impact on our world, everything from alleviating poverty to helping to conserve our oceans and empowering women. And it has all of these really core challenges that our world is facing. We've looked to the United Nations. They have a set of sustainable development goals, and it's 17 of the world's most pressing issues. And we look to those as a basis for inspiration for how we can have a positive impact on the world through travel. And it's these little pivots that you make in your travel style, whether you're thinking about how you're going to get there or where you're going to stay or what souvenir you're going to buy. If you're able to make little changes in all of those actions throughout your traveler's journey, those add up to having a really big impact on the world around you. So we're very much a cause-based organization where we look at something like women's empowerment, or we look at something like ocean conservation, and we take that cause and basically look to have a conversation around how we as travelers can help to improve the world, specifically through that lens.
Okay, Kelly, for sure we will get back to you. I will now, Leonor, I know that you have a presentation, so
yes.
Probably you could start with your presentation, and then we will talk a little bit also about, I will remind everybody that actually the main subject here is the future of tourism travel in the post-COVID era. So this is what we want to, at least to discuss, not to discover, because I think there is no answer. There are several answers, and they are being made as we speak. So Leonor?
I'm trying to...
If technology helps, it's always...
Yes, okay.
When we are off, this actually works. And then?
Because now I'm not seeing my presentation here.
Is it?
No.
No. As you try, I can...
Okay.
You did?
No, I don't know why, because...
We can continue to speak with Kelly, and as you try, do you want to...
Okay.
Kelly,
okay.
You were speaking that you want to change the people's behavior when they are on traveling, they are on the tourism destination, how they buy things, for instance, how they buy souvenirs. This is like buying coral things and then they, okay, Kelly.
It's okay? Sorry. Well, first, thanks for the invite for Tourism of Portugal to be here. We are convinced that the return to tourism will happen, and we will continue to have the same values that before the COVID. Sustainability is the way for a better tourism before COVID and even more after it. This moment of pause is the right time for tourism to find the focus on sustainability from an economic point of view, but also from environmental and social perspectives. Taking on a focus and finding ways to be more environmentally friendly and more friendly to the planet and people will also help to be more economic viable. Because tourists today are also looking for this offer, the sustainable tourism. COVID has changed the world forever and has impacted industry, including the international travel, tourism demand, and hospitality industry. The biggest challenge will not be afraid to be believed that sustainability must be a cross-cutting concern for the sector. It is very important to think about how the tourism, travel, and hospitality industry will recover after COVID and how can be sustainable in a dramatically changed world. I don't know if you are.
No, the
okay.
slides are not.
Not okay, but are not. You are seeing everything, yes or no? It's okay.
The second one.
Okay. It is necessary. Sorry. It is necessary that the tourist companies come to be economically supported, but also that they will have tools to be more sustainable. I would say this is the great opportunity of this crisis and the only advantage to be taken from the COVID. There will be more important measures in short term. We know the economic development measures are very urgent, but we also know in the future and in the medium and long term, environmental and social measures will be the opportunity to get something good out of this moment. We must think in this moment like an opportunity to do it better. For sustainable tourism during and after COVID, there are some important issues like adapt the offer to the new health guidelines, social distance from the tourist source and at the destination, and also security and trust in destinations. Just like that, we can transform this moment and the other future crises into an opportunity from sustainable and from tourism. I forget to change the, okay. COVID has provided us a digital revolution, telework, webinars like now, online reservation, check-ins and check-outs, and many other examples show how the sector has had to adapt tourism activities to the new needs. Most of these measures will last after COVID, and they are a way to help us to have a sustainable tourism. Now, more than ever, is the right moment to invest also in a more digital and a more sustainable tourism. For example, putting technologies in line with environmental measures, such as reducing carbon, adapting tourism to climate change. Another of the realities caused by COVID was that countries had to look at domestic tourism as a priority. The offer of rural tourism was one of the main choice of tourists because it offers social distance, peace, space, security. This may be a lesson for tourism sector in the future, because I believe that these values, like sustainability, will continue to be desired by tourists after COVID. Today, many hotels are thinking about solutions around these values. It is very important to realize that tourism demand has changed and that the tourism offer will also have to change. Tourists wanted more sustainable offers, more connected with the nature, and so we can learn a lesson. Sustainably is safer during increase or difficulty. It expresses confidence and means a healthier and more authentic option. Sustainably is not only about big options, it is also the result of small activities and small actions. Recycling, saving, reducing are actions available to everyone. Small business can play a very relevant role too. Thinking about solutions to help tourism to be more sustainable. We have now many small business and startups working about this issue. The government of tourism of Portugal and tourism of Portugal have created a lot of financial supports, thinking also about the smallest companies and startups to help the whole tourist sector to recover from this moment and also to be more sustainable, because this is the moment. For example, saving energy is a measure available to everyone and has direct economic benefits for the sector. You don't have to be a big hotel to save energy. This is something for everyone. People's behavior also is changing. Oh, sorry, I can't select this one. Okay. I'm saying people's behavior is changing because it had to change. COVID did not ask, it had to be that way. The behavior of operators and tourists has changed. It was necessary to give confidence to tourists and company workers. The success of the clean and safe stamp created by Turismo de Portugal is an example how companies were motivated to change behavior and how tourists needed a sign of confidence. The clean and safe stamp was important for everyone, tourists and staff of the hotels. Everyone had to adapt in a short time, and we now have more than 20,000 companies participating. They all change their behavior and adjusted the way they work to give tourists more confidence. We have also seen several initiatives in the tourism sector to deal with COVID. Once again, it is an opportunity to do better and hope that after the health crisis, the sector will be more and better prepared and especially more sustainable. Difficulties make us stronger. We will come out of this moment stronger and more prepared, more sustainable, more creative, and tourism will benefit from these options. Tourism is already being innovated. And everyone can help this change. Technology will be the tool of the future and will play a major role in the return of tourism. We'll need to have also hope and be creative. We need to learn lessons from the past and with the difficulties we are going through, but always with hope, always wanting to do better for us and for the next generations. The planet is not ours. The planet needs us and needs our ability to change and to do better, be more sustainable and promote tourism. A sustainable tourism helps the planet in the future is the only way. Then we can talk more about it, but I'm finished now, okay? Ruben?
Thank you very much, Leonor. I think we will, in the end, we will speak and I have some questions for you for sure. So without more delays, Fatima Vieira, she's the coordinator of Green Key. So Fatima, you have a presentation?
Yes, I do.
And
so I think you have already it on your screens, right?
Yes.
Okay, so first of all, I just would like to thank you for the invitation, and of course, I wish all the best for this Greenfest there in Braga, and then for the other one, which will occur in November. So it's a kind of doing things, even though we are at home, so we are, of course, managing our lives to fulfill the demands of those that are running our programs and projects. So I don't know, but I've made my presentation in Portuguese, and of course I will manage to somehow introduce to you the presentation in English, which is not a difficulty, but somehow it might be confused to read in English or to read in Portuguese and listen someone speaking in English, but nevertheless, I will try my best. So speaking about the Green Key, it's something which is prepared to somehow help not only the companies, but also the clients and the guests that attend those companies to overcome the difficulties we are facing right now in this pandemic time. So Green Key is somehow present in 66 countries with more than 3,000 establishments running Green Key in several categories. So we have Green Keys for hotels, also for small accommodations, campsites, restaurants, also conference centers, and somehow in those specific places, we have different criteria to help them to fulfill the guidelines of Green Key. And somehow at the same time, we are educating and we are transforming and changing behaviors. Speaking a little bit more about Green Key, I'm just going to tell you who is it, the organization behind the Green Key, as well as other programs that this organization is running. So we are talking about International FEE, which is the Foundation for Environmental Education. And this organization is somehow present in 70 countries all over the world, promoting sustainable development and environmental education. So this is the core of Green Key, as well as all the other programs. As you might know, the best known is Blue Flag for beaches and marinas. Then we have, of course, Green Key, which I will explain later on. And then we have eco schools and young reporters. So also learning about forests, those are the programs that are developed by FEE. So in Portugal, the representative of FEE is ABAI, and we are running the programs for more than 30 years by now. And at the moment, we are running not only the Blue Flag and the Green Key Eco Schools and Young Reporters, we are running, of course, Eco 21, which was one of the programs that was in the previous session, live sessions here at Greenfest. And also in the really close future, we will be the Green Destinations promoter, having reached an agreement to do that in our country. Talking a little bit more about Green Key, I will have to speak about the history, which is somehow has its start in 1994 in Denmark. And then with the time running, we reached 2020 with more than 3,000 establishments in 66 countries. So we have more than 25 years by now running Green Key, which is really a tool, a management tool, and education tool that really is somehow in line with the Sustainable Development Goals of UN. So it's a kind of matching goals. So I can show you somehow the map of Green Key by now with those more than 3,000 establishments. And this is somehow the representation of Green Key at the moment. So of course we have a big part of it which is about hotels and hostels, and all the others are here also represented. How did it happen in Portugal? And by now aligning with the topic of these discussions here is about COVID. After COVID, I may guess, although we do not have a precise answer for that, I may guess that establishments that are now running Green Key, they are really more oriented for the post-COVID era, which I really wish to be as short as possible. And I think it is the same about you. So the history of the Green Key in Portugal started in 2007 with 12 companies. And by now in 2020, we have already 153. this happened because, this happened because, of course, during this pandemic, some of them have to withdraw their applications, and somehow we can now see how is it the green key in all the regions in Portugal. So we can see Madeira Island with 31 companies, and of course, 35 companies, and Central region is about 32. So those are the biggest regions in terms of green key awarded companies. So what is it, green key? Of course, it's a kind of a mix between management, environmental management, and environmental education, because both they cannot succeed if they are not mixed. Of course, we have to handle with techniques and all the technological infrastructures that we have at a green company, but of course we have also to deal with man. Man is somehow using those areas, whether they are hotels or whether they are restaurants or campings, and we have to address them. So as I said at the beginning, the most important issue that we really manage in our daily lives activity is environmental education. That's why this is the philosophy behind the green key. So, sorry if I am too quick. These are the goals of the green key, and then in general, it's about promoting environmental education and promoting the changing of behavior. So nowadays we have to focus not only in the structures, but also, as I said before, we have to focus on man. Man is using those areas, is living in those areas, whether by 1 day or 2 days or 1 hour or 2 hours, but they have to be addressed in terms of environmental education. So we have to somehow show them how or what does that person has to do while living or using those areas. So we have to push them to get in line with the objectives of the green key, which are to reduce the impact of this industry, most generally speaking. So I'm not going to talk here about the process of applications, but this is more or less the way it happens. It has criteria that these criteria we do evaluate every single year. And of course we do that evaluation, whether by the process that we do evaluate by our platform, but of course we visit with the support of many, many teams we have with the national authorities, whether by the tourism government or by the environmental government. They help us to see and to check if those companies are really aligned with the criteria. So these are the criteria. They are separated by 12 areas. And of course, we have areas like environmental management or water or information to the clients or food and drinks. We have a lot of criteria. I'm not going to show you them all, but of course, these are somehow examples of the criteria that we do follow. So, sorry, I will just skip those criteria because they are too long. I'm not going to bother you with those. So we have criteria that address, for instance, gardens, and how do we have to somehow manage with the green waste, and somehow how do we have to create the awareness to the guests, and of course some activities that the green key companies have to develop, just addressing their clients or their staff, because everyone counts, whether being the staff, the suppliers, or the guests. So everyone is involved in this green key process. So this is more or less what I had to tell you. Of course, there are a lot more information that I'm not going to bother you with. So I think that I've already answered your question, Ruben, right?
Yeah, right. Now we know what is green key and what green key does. So Fatima, let me start by you. You actually, you certificate hotels, restaurants.
There's a kind of a difference between certification and that I really would like to address that difference, because it is different from what we really do. Certification is one thing, and we cannot and we shall not mixture things. One thing is certification, and that's what we do not do. What we do is to recognize the activity. So we do award them with these prizes. Well, the award is the green key that they can use for a year. And of course, this is the way, like the story of the donkey and sorry to be like that, but the story of the donkey and the carrot. So they are somehow the company, whether being a restaurant or the hotel, they want to run for the carrots, you know, and the carrot is the green key. And of course, in the meantime, they have to fulfill all those criteria that are really kind of a really tough tool for them to organize themselves and to adapt what the measures of environmental education and environmental management are. So it is that. So we do recognize, we do not certify.
Okay,
That's different. That's the kind of term. It's not that we are not so strong as a standard like the ISO or so on, but it is different, and we have, of course, to say that we are running for changing behaviors. We are not running for saying if this is okay or not. So we are running for educating and changing behaviors.
Right. So thank you for this clarification.
Welcome.
Let me ask you if do you think that these COVID times that we are facing, if they will change the hotel's behavior? Do you think that it's changing, it is doing something, or it will be just business as usual when this passes?
I'm not going to tell you that it will be business as usual, because I feel from the companies that I'm leading with that they since the beginning and since March of this year, we started by doing webinars and so on, and trying to, of course, to keep them alive, because at the end of the day, it was really that the real motive is to keep them alive and trying to make a kind of exchanging of experiences. And I'm happy to tell you that from the webinars that we were running since March till today, I'm happy because I could somehow testimony that they were exchanging between them contacts, as well as some, of course, strategies, which at the end of the day, that was really the goal. And this somehow for the companies that are already green key oriented, and also the ones that are following us for so many years and will try to adapt to the criteria, somehow they are not interested only on the award, the green key, but they are also interested because of their feeling and of course about their position in the market. They do believe that it is the only way to go, which is to respect nature, which is to respect Earth, planet Earth, and somehow to get aligned with really the future that we have in front of us, which is more and more to be aligned with nature and the respect for planet Earth.
Okay, thank you. Kelly, Leonor spoke about the future of sustainability of the countries, and in Portugal in particular. But do you think that mass market tourism and sustainability are two concepts that can live together? Because until 2019 and the beginning of 2020, every year we were like growing two figures in number of tourists, in number of room nights. So it was growing and growing. And I remember, for instance, to go to Torre de Belém and to wait in a line for 5 minutes, and now I would have to wait 2 hours to enter. So this is just an example of the load factor of a tourism and that influence on the sustainability of that destination. So do you think that this, after COVID ends, that will be changing the mentality of people?
The short answer is that I hope so. There's a lot that's still yet to be seen, even how much has changed within the last year. If you look at the top news in tourism from a year ago, we were talking about over-tourism and how the industry was exacerbating climate change. And now the pendulum has swung in the complete opposite direction when the industry has been brought to a halt, and it's starting to come back in different trickles. But I think as a whole, the optimist in me sees a lot of potential and growth within the sustainable tourism movement. But when you look at the industry as a whole, most of the industry is still in survival mode right now. In the US alone, we've lost, I think, 4.7 million jobs in the tourism industry. And it's been hardest hit from an economic standpoint. And so looking at how the tourism industry is going to have to recover, looking at our hierarchy of needs, most of the industry is focused on safety first and foremost right now, and just helping travelers understand what it means to get on a plane, what it means to get on a train, what is the safest way to go about traveling in the midst of the pandemic. So looking forward to the future of the industry, I think what we all have to be working toward, whether we're a certification board or a traveler or a tourism business or a DMO, sustainability has to be the norm. Every single type of travel experience should have a positive impact on local communities and help to protect our environment. And that's what we should all be working toward. And so there's a lot of shifts that have to happen there, even in thinking about corporations, for example. Most travelers don't understand that a corporation could be sustainable. They start hearing about sustainable tourism and it's like a light bulb goes off and they're like, oh great, I just have to shop local and stay at boutique hotels. But then when you start thinking about business travel, typically you're staying in a large corporate entity for a hotel. And so we have to think about how we can reshape that narrative and start to think about all travel experiences and how we can incorporate sustainability into the entire industry as a whole. Looking at metrics is a really big other concern. Talking about over-tourism, for so long the industry has been obsessed with charting growth and looking at growth in numbers, whether that's dollars being spent or the amount of tourists who are coming into the destination. The tourism industry looks at that growth in numbers and says, look, we're doing better. There's more tourists who are coming in, but we have to look at those numbers and say, are those really the best numbers that we should be analyzing when it comes to looking at success for our community and the long-term development of our destination in a way that's better for travelers and locals alike. And so there's so many pieces of this that we need to think about in a very critical way. And it's the world's largest industry. We make up 10% of the world's GDP. And so it's taking that positioning and saying, okay, we're recovering, we're looking at survival right now, and we're looking at safety, but how can we use this as an opportunity to reset and rebuild in a way that is more sustainable, more inclusive, and more resilient as a whole?
Okay, thank you very much. Leonor, you spoke on your presentation that the world will, and the tourism industry after this will change dramatically, will be dramatically different. This is your words. Mm-hmm. How different would that world be, in your opinion?
Well, I hope better. We will certainly have a lot of difficulties, but I believe that we are now more prepared than before. I'm sure that COVID marked the world and the way people think. As I said, we will come out more prepared, more stronger, more sustainable. We have no other option. I'm going to say, We are about to launch the sustainable plan for tourism in the first week of October. It has many initiatives and activities from next 3 years to help the sector to be more sustainable.
Can you give us like some bullets, some ideas of what that plan would be? I know that the presentation will be just on
yes.
of October. And this
I don't know if I can.
This is my journalist side to ask this question, but if you could enlighten us with some.
Well, okay. We have also done a lot in the past, but we want to make a commitment with the environment now. There are something more stronger, and we have to think in how to involve all stakeholders. So we have some measures from the hotels, from the tourists also, because we need to think about who visit us, and they need to do part of the solution. We have other initiatives from other partners of this challenge in the other ministries with the other areas, and I'm saying some examples. We are going to have a way to monitorizate the consumes of the hotels and help us to have a better activity, more environmental. We have a lot of actions about the relationship with the sector and the environment, about carbon emissions. We are thinking about mobility. How can we have a better activity with the consumes, with emissions, and something about also to qualification the sector, the workers, because they need to understand where we want to go and be part of the problem and solution. And we are going to have some other measures to promote Portugal like a sustainable destination for the other countries, because we need to think about the economic point of view, but the most important activities and actions are to be more careful about the environment.
Let me ask you, in 3 years, if you are launching this program, action plan.
This is the first phase of the plan to these 3 next years. But we know we have a long way to do.
No, I know this is a never-ending plan.
Yes, that's it. Yes.
But the question is, where do you see Portugal in 3 years' time after that measures being applied, and where do you see it? As
well, I believe I believe in 3 years we are going to have a better tourism and activities more sustainably. I'm sure we are working for that.
Okay, Fatima. Also, this COVID time that we are living, it's also an amazing opportunity for Green Key, huh? Or not?
Yes, it is indeed, because we want somehow to introduce ideas that are really linked with our concerns in terms of environmental education, because what we assisted, and we are still assisting, is that people are using masks, for instance, and they are throwing them in the, well, somehow in the streets. So at the same time, we can, and we know that we have a lot of awareness raising activity to introduce to the hotels and restaurants, because somehow we assisted to a throwback in the plastic, single-use plastics, and now we want to recover what we somehow increased in terms of using single-use plastics during this pandemic. And of course, we want to introduce the team in a very short time for them to get used to other uses rather than only plastic and single plastic use, for instance. And of course, it is an opportunity for us to spread the message that it has not only to be linked with plastic, and of course, we can use other things, and of course, at the same time, still taking into account the measures of health and the protection of the virus in the company. So it has to be with plastic. We have to fight the single-use plastics at hotels and restaurants.
Okay, thank you. Kelly, do you think that somehow the health issue will also be of major importance in the future? Because until now we were only speaking about security, as in terrorist attacks or in terms of thefts or killing, a crime. But now there is another security that people are demanding. That's the health security. Do you think that will also reshape the way we travel and the way we think and we choose?
Absolutely. I think it's imperative, and thank you for the 2-minute warning. I see that from the team at Greenfest. I think that the more that all of these things are happening around sustainability or health or safety, the more that we're looking at the science and what's behind them, we see that all of this is connected. And taking a step back and looking at the big picture, if you look at climate change, for example, it's linked to skyrocketing rates of more viral diseases being transmitted. And that's why it's so important for travelers to be thinking about how can I travel in a way that's respectful for local communities. And that means not only ensuring that you are supporting their local community, but also you're being respectful from just doing things like wearing a mask or taking safety into account. So there's all of these different considerations that you have to keep top of mind. And as an individual, that's just remembering that every single action that you have has an impact on our world. And that's whether you're at home or you're abroad.
Okay, so they are saying that our time flies, and this we cannot fly nowadays, or it's more difficult, but here it flies. So thank you very much, Kelly, and I hope to meet you in person in other situation. Not Zoom is okay, but we are human, and tourism is made of smiles, but also of handshakes and hugs. And also thank you to Fatima Vieira, Leonor Picão, always a pleasure, and Vera Ribeiro, that now has the task.
Thank you.
To bring these amazing projects, Impact Travel, to Portugal. And to my beloved Alentejo, I know that it will be the best place to nourish it. So thank you again.
Fingers crossed.
And I see you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you very much.